reality. I am looking to create a new reality. Why don't you join me? Atapu, Namaste, Harun Nefer. This is Kasank Keperu with another broadcast for you. And in this broadcast, we're going to be talking about the secret of metaframes to create reality. That's going to be a really good subject. But before I go into that, I want you to hit the like button located here at the bottom. And if it's your first time to my channel, welcome. Hit the subscribe button to get notifications on when I go live or when I upload recorded videos. That's very important. Also, I have free ebooks that expand on the teachings that I'm about to disseminate here. You can download them today and start reading and gain more spiritual knowledge. It's all for free. And lastly, I have just uploaded a great new hypnosis video called Overcoming Challenges up to my Patreon. So if you're a Patreon supporter, you'll get that video. It's 50 minutes long. It's great. It's in depth. So if you're not a Patreon supporter, consider becoming one. The video is awesome. It'll help you overcome any challenges that you may be facing, whether it be financial or relationship-wise or alien contact-wise or whatever. So anyway, namaste. Welcome to all of you. Sorry, I am late to the broadcast. I had an incident, a very shocking incident, and I manifested something that was not very good, and I'm going to have to deal with it, all right? And so now let's talk about the secret of metaframes to create reality. Now, as you know, this channel really focuses heavily upon manifesting your own reality. And I don't like to use the word create reality because you can't actually create anything and you can't discover anything. Let's get that really clearly. The other night I heard the scientists talking about they discovered Zeta Reticuli 1 and 2 star system. And I'm like, no, you didn't discover anything. You can't discover. And the reason being is because when Netta created all that there is, it was complete. It was of abundance. You cannot add to it and you cannot subtract from it. Okay. So therefore, you cannot create anything more. And there's nothing to discover because it's there. Now, you're probably saying, well, Kasank, yes, I can discover, because if you go beyond Jupiter, you may not have known that there was Uranus, there's Pluto, there's Neptune. I said, well, when you understand really that you are consciousness, and consciousness is at all place has the property, I'm sorry, I'm getting tongue twisted, that consciousness exists not within time and space. It has no fixed point in time and space. It exists in 5D where there's just oneness. So you are here, and therefore you are everywhere. You are a multi-dimensional being. You exist here. You exist in Alpha Centauri. You exist in the 8th and 9th dimensions at the same time, because we understand that space is only a construct limited to the left brain linear thought process, that there are realms where space doesn't come into play, where there is what we call a singularity. Okay, so when I refer to the fact that you cannot discover anything because you are already there, I really mean that. Okay, so you cannot create anything because everything is already in existence, and the reason why you may not see it is because you have not shifted that vibrational frequency to where you can interact with it, because it exists in a different frequency, a different frequency of light. If that makes sense, because we're limited in the spectrums of light that we can see. So let's keep that in mind. But to facilitate the conversation and to bring in new people who may not understand the teachings, I use the word create. But the proper term would be to manifest. And that actually is getting more well known and bigger amongst the New Age community or the conspiracy theorists. They're all one, okay? So we just need to get that straight. And I think what's really important and what's going to save you in the end, and kind of what saved me, is really just being mindful of the words that you're using. All right. And let me go into this a little bit deep with you. Okay. Now, when I was in priesthood, we had to use certain conventional language structures, if I can put it that way. These were languages that identified who we were as divine beings and not as human beings or the animal spirit. So in other words, we would say, my person likes this or my person dislikes that. But the true self of who you are is beyond emotional influence. You have no likes or dislikes, because the true essence of who you are is devoid of those emotions. You are at peace. You are at rest. That is who you truly are. And that is the true nature of God, at peace and at rest, because you cannot have a God that can be influenced by emotion. That's not God. This is why when we read the Bible, we understand the Bible was written by man. It is not a holy scriptural book. It is a book of technology. It is a book that really delves into astrotheology, but it's not a book written by God, or it wasn't even inspired by the word of God. So let's get that straight. Okay. In fact, it was authorized by King James, who was a pedophile. All right. And there are many different versions to the Bible. The King James version just became the most popular version. Okay. It's like you write a book, I write a book, she writes a book, and all of a sudden we're vying for publication. And then when I get published, or we all get published, I get more PR, I get more press than you guys do. So then I say my book is the complete works. No other book comes close. And that's what the majority of the Christians have bought into. They don't want to admit that there are many, many different versions of the Bible, and that the King James one just became the most popular one. Okay. So going back to what I was saying in terms of language structure is very important because it commands the spirit. And this is how you bring into manifestation things in this third dimensional plane. So alluding to what I had mentioned before in regards to my study in the priesthood, where we were required to use certain language structures, we could not say, I hate this. No, the person hates this, but the self is free of emotional compulsions and conditionings. And when we said that we had a habit like a nail biting, or a habit where I love chocolate cake, we would then say that that is a conditioning, the conditioning. And then we took our studies further when we started studying Qigong, and Qigong dives into the organ system. And when you understand Qigong, you start to understand things on a very high spiritual level, because Qigong equates things to different organs. So in other words, say, for example, if you have a like toward a woman and you're very passionate about her, you're in love with her, and the love is to a degree of where it is not healthy, you become infatuated, then in the Qigong system, it tells you that you have a heart problem, too much heart yang. And then it prescribes a mantra and a set of exercises to calm the heart and still the heart, because there's an excess of heart yang. Does that make sense? Okay. So that's how you do it. All right. So the language structure that we use, well, let me get this straight first. The language that we use, this bastardized English language, is devoid of sonic frequencies, because when we spoke, the words that we spoke in ways that had like clicks and sounds and things. And I'm talking about ancient culture, by the way, back in antiquity. That when we spoke, we were vibrating, using our tongues to vibrate. That's why other language like Latin or Spanish or French, some of those languages, well, I wouldn't say French, but you know what I'm talking about. They use like the Spanish language as the rolling R. But anyway, we spoke in clicks and sounds, which were harmonic frequencies that would vibrate, and that way we would create reality from that, from the words we spoke. That's how powerful your words are. Now along comes NLP, neuro-linguistic programming. And what neuro-linguistic programming is, it is a structured way of speaking that commands the subconscious mind to act in accordance with a certain outcome or expectation. That's how we lived in ancient times. That's how our language structures was put in place. But here, us speaking the King's language or whatever you want to call it, it is devoid of those frequencies because they don't want us to manifest new realities by speaking. And they've also, in the language, we betray our true nature of who we are. So I'll say that I love her. Or, like I remember very young that I came into an understanding of spirituality at a very young age because I remember my mother listening to the old Motown songs or Marvin Gaye and all that. And one thing I did not like, and it wasn't very healthy for my mother or anybody else listening to those songs, where it would talk about how I'm nothing without you. I'll die without you. You are my world. That's a very bad thing. That is a very bad thing to place your importance, your life, everything that you are upon another person. And even as a kid, when I heard her singing those old Motown songs, which were, they were great. I'm not bashing them, but I knew that those lyrics, those words were very detrimental to the psyche, to the spirit. So we as Magi's, are you with me, Clifton? Clifton, Hatepu, you look like you're fading away. Are you with me? Your energy is fading away. Focus. So we have to understand how to speak to one another. Do you understand what I'm saying? If you were to come here, because I hold group sessions every weekend, and you were to spend time with me, you could call me by my Western name, but I wouldn't allow you to do that because you would have to call me Kesunk. Because that word Kesunk, you're giving me an energy, and that energy is helping me to fulfill my destiny. This is why people who take on just names have to realize that your name is very, very important. It guides you. It gives you energy. It has a frequency to it that when people recite it, it takes you and shifts you to a different parallel world. That's what it's supposed to do. All right. So you got it, Nikki? Are you sure you have it? So don't tell me like, wow, you got it, and I quiz you and you don't got it. So get it. You got it? All right. Okay, so let's take this further. Now, neuro-linguistic programming, NLP, is fantastic. I studied it. I used to study it years ago. And for, oh, crap, that's not good. Excuse me, un momento. I just lost my mouse. Okay. I studied it years ago, and I found out that I had an aptitude for it, that I was very good with NLP. And as many of you know, that I was good at hypnosis. So I was going in interviews, and I was using NLP in interviews to get the jobs. I was bidding for contracts for my company. I started a company. It was a startup company, and I was getting the contracts because I was using NLP and hypnosis. And I had no idea what I was doing. I just knew it came naturally to me. And you know what came next, do you? Huh? You know what came next. So I was very shy too. Very, very shy. If you guys if you get on Patreon and you check the video out, that is incredible. Oh, here it is. Un momento. I found my mouse. All right. If you get on Patreon and the video of the overcoming challenges, I really detail my story and why I became so shy and what happened and everything like that, right? But now, let's get into this, all right? I took things a step further. When I found out what I could do, I started using it to deprogram myself of the shyness. And it worked. It was fantastic. I found the NLP to be like the greatest thing since sliced bread. I loved it so much. And usually people who study NLP move on to study hypnosis. They're kind of like one and the same. You know what I mean? In fact, here's a book that's used by a lot of NLP individuals called the Big Book of NLP. And this has all kinds of therapeutic, like remedies for you. And when I mean therapeutic remedies, I mean language structures. That's what it's all about, language structures. But you see, NLP carries it only to a certain point, and then they don't go any further. See, NLP carries it to the point of commanding the spirit, the psyche. Seriously? I'm sorry, I'm so distracted today. Hold on one second. All right. Um, NLP only carries it to a certain level when it's commanding the spirit. Sorry, not the spirit, the subconscious mind. The subconscious mind and the spirit are interchangeable. Okay, just so you understand. So when I say subconscious mind, say spirit, I mean the same thing. Okay. So it commands the subconscious mind to reprogram you. NLP, that's what it's for, right? But what they don't take any further to understand that if you can command the subconscious mind, then you could command different realities to come to fruition, to come into manifestation. Now, the great thing about NLP is there are individuals who became masters of NLP, are being really good at it, and now have taken it to the next level to use NLP to invoke spirits and also to shift to different alternate parallel realities. And that's so awesome. That is so awesome. And I'm glad those individuals are doing it. In fact, when I went to a Bashar seminar, I met one gentleman, and him and I sat down and we were having dinner. And Bashar came over and he told me, "Hey, Kasank, you're the greatest thing in the world." I said, "I hear you, bro." Anyway, so I was talking to this guy, right? And turned out that he was a certified NLP practitioner. And I had told him, I said, my frustration with you guys is that you guys don't take it to the next level. And then he kicked the science to me and he told me, "Listen, I'll put you in a session. And in that session, I'll have you astral traveling to this dimension." I said, "Wait, you do that?" He goes, "Yeah." He says, "I take NLP all the way." I said, "All right." So I was happy to meet someone who knew the potential of NLP and could take it further. But here, what I want to do with you is to give you an understanding, an idea of not just NLP, because you don't have to study NLP. I want to give you some strategies and ideas on how you can just use plain, simple, everyday language that you're using to manifest a different reality. Okay. And if you're interested in NLP, please, by all means, take it further, get into an NLP class. If you're not, if it doesn't woo you, then take what I'm going to teach you here and use that to shift to the reality that you want. Okay. Does that make sense? Valentina, does that make sense? Does it make sense, Valentina? Okay. Let's do this. You guys ready? So let's look at it this way. Now, many of you understand my teachings where I talk about, in order to create your reality, you have to hold on to a certain belief and an emotion, and you have to visualize yourself as the person you want to be, having the thing that you desire in the present moment. Now, for some, that's very easy, but I've gotten emails from individuals saying I have a problem with visualization. I'm not a very emotional person, so it's hard for me to invoke the emotion, which I don't know why that's hard for you, but I guess it is. All right, I get you guys. I understand that. It's difficult, then let's look at things this way, all right? When we look at the world, we are processing information all the time. Okay. And the left brain will filter out certain information that doesn't align with our belief system. That's what the left brain does. It's the critical faculty. It is subject to linear space-time. You understand that? Valentina, you said yes. You're so slow. Oh my God. I asked you that question like, what was it, a half hour ago? And you're just now saying yes? Come on, girl. Get it together. All right. Aaron, focus. Jaeger. Focus. We're not talking about aliens. All right, focus. Don't make me have to send a spirit over there to wake you up. Okay. I like your avatar, by the way. It's very Netchum. If you know what Netchum is, looking up in the Kemetic dictionary, look up Netchum. All right. So, what we have to do to create a reality, number one, visualization, as I mentioned before, holding the emotion, the belief system. Actually, it's a belief system, because an emotion in and of itself, it doesn't empower you unless it's a belief system. Act as if you have it in the present time, space, here and now. And the conventional thinking through the law of attraction, through the reality transurfing, and those who practice the secret says if you can hold that emotion and that visualization for long enough, it will materialize in this third dimensional realm. True statement. That is true. That is fact. But as I just mentioned, what if I'm having problems visualizing? What if I'm having problems with my evoking emotions? I'm a logical person. I'm Mr. Spock from Star Trek. All right. Here's what we do. All right. We all know, as I said before, that we process information. We're constantly taking information from the world around us. And this is actually what I talked to the NLP guy when I had the dinner with him at the Bashar seminar. And what we talked about was how you are bombarded with information all the time, but you're not seeing that information. You're not processing that information because you're filtering out because it doesn't align with your belief system. Let's take a case in point, historical case in point. Clifton, let's take this case in point. You're good at this stuff. I know you are. Help me out here, Clifton. When the Pilgrims came to the New World, led by Christopher Columbus, well, actually, it was Amerigo Vespucci who discovered America, but let's just say Christopher Columbus discovering a new world. We'll just say that for argument's sake, okay? Christopher Columbus, the Pilgrims came here. The Native Americans, when they got to the seashore and they looked out and they saw the ships approaching, right? They could not see the ships approaching. This is an historical account of what happened. They could not see the ships approaching. Now, why is that? Why is that? The ships were there and the ships were coming. And all hell was coming with them too, because those Native Americans paid the price for their altruistic behavior. But why couldn't they see the ships? Because you don't process that which doesn't align with your belief system. And when something radically conflicts with your preconceived ideas, it creates a conflict, a paralysis, and you can't process that information. So the Native Americans couldn't see it because it was not something, there was no precedent for it. Because the left brain functions by a precedent. It looks back in history, it recalls into your past, so-called past, and it says, have we ever seen anything like that before? No, we haven't. So how can we process that information? We can't. So that's a theory. I'm not saying it's fact, but I'm just saying that that's a theory as to why the Native Americans didn't see those boats, couldn't see those boats there, or it could be just an old wives' tale. But I'm letting you know that you are processing information on a daily basis. And that information that's coming in, only the information comes in that meets and aligns with your current belief system. Now let's take this a step further. Reality exists, reality that we know it, or of the reality that we know of. There we go. That's what I wanted to say. The reality that we know of only exists in accordance with our expectations. That expectation comes about through the belief system that has been cemented into the subconscious mind. That belief system is there and constantly reinforced by the data you take in from the matrix that aligns with your current belief system. See, the data that you're processing from the matrix is not the complete data. If there are 6,000 bits of information, you're only processing maybe 1,000 if you're lucky. That's because the remaining 5,000 doesn't align with your belief system, so you discard that information. You don't process it. But what if you would to rewrite the program and you would tell yourself to process all that information? You couldn't do that. It's too much information. But what you could do, in fact, is you could tell the subconscious mind to process the information that aligns with your new belief system and your new expectations, consequently. What does that do exactly? So let me go back now. If you are taking in information that only aligns with your current belief system and filtering out the rest, is that real picture of reality? No, it's not. It's not. It's not a real picture of reality. What is that? That is a hypnotic tunnel or reality tunnel that you exist in. It is a reality of your own construct. Because the filter that I have is going to be different from the filter that Clifton has or the best has. It's going to be totally different. because they're filtering out different information than I'm filtering out. Therefore, they exist in a different space-time continuum than me. Do you understand what I'm getting at? Because your belief system creates your reality. And if I'm filtering out information that only aligns with my current belief system, then Clifton is processing information and filtering out information that only aligns with his belief system. Then Clifton and I have a radically different perspective on reality. So then the question has to be asked, actually, do we both live in the same reality? We don't. And if reality only exists in accordance with your expectations, which is a true statement by quantum mechanics validates this, because reality doesn't exist apart from the observer. No observer, no reality. Do you understand what I'm getting at? Now, when we talk about the meta frame, in NLP, there's two terms. There is what we call is the frame, and then there's the meta frame. Now, when we say a frame is a perspective and a way of looking at things. How you frame something. I could be talking to a woman, and then Nikki could be talking to a woman, but I'll frame that conversation as though the woman was angry at Nikki, and Nikki may frame it as though the woman was laughing at her or found her humorous. Two different frames, two different perspectives. Do you understand what I'm saying? Michael, cognitive dissonance, I don't know what you're talking about, but that's something totally different. So now, yeah, a frame can be how you, oh, that's interesting. A frame can be how you look at a conversation, how you look at an interaction, how you look at a situation. Now, when we get to a meta frame, now we're talking about an overall, overarching big picture. What is the meta frame of your life? How do you see your life? How do you see all things? When you look at the most successful people in the world, we'll take, for example, because I spoke about this yesterday, Donald Trump. How does Donald Trump see the world? He sees the world through his meta frame. What is his meta frame? That he is the shiznik. He's the big guy in charge. He's the big honcho. He's the big boss. That's his meta frame. So what is your meta frame in terms of how you see things, you see yourself and you see things? Now, the way that we can create our reality without falling back into the traditional system that I spoke of earlier, that's practiced by the law of attraction, The Secret, and reality transurfing, is that we can actually start to filter out things that only align with what the expectations that we have of a new reality. Now, this gets into, it's going to get a little more complicated, I'm sorry. This gets into what we call as submodalities. Now, what's a submodality? Now, you have all of these senses, tactile, auditory, visual. A submodality can be a subset of that. Let me use this word because I don't want to get too deep into this. Let's say subcommunication, in other words, subcommunication. Subcommunication is a way of how we communicate on a very subtle level, how we look at things on a subtle level, how we take information in. There are individuals out there who will frame things and who'll take cues from life and process that as if they are great, they are awesome at whatever they do. And because they do that on a constant basis, and they've trained themselves to do that, to process that information, to boost their ego, they create a reality where they do very good in life. And consequently, in the opposite end, many of us, when we perceive things, we are looking at submodalities or subcommunication to validate that we have low self-esteem. And we're constantly reinforcing the fact that we have low self-esteem, so we don't do well in life. That's how it happens. Do you follow me? The trick is that what we have to do is we have to learn is to start looking for signs that align with what we want, even though you think it's not there. You have to ignore the signs that are negative and look at only the signs that reinforce the reality that you want or reinforce your meta frame. Okay. Now let's take this back to what I was talking about in terms of, like the language patterns. All right. One of the things that we can do is that we can construct our language to how we self-talk, because that's going to play a big role in this. You understand what I'm saying? It is very important as Magi's that we command the English language, that we, and I don't mean just like studying English and being proficient at it, although that's good, but I mean in casting our spells. And a spell could be something as simple as an affirmation, how you talk to yourself, which is self-talk, which is kind of like how NLP works to command the subconscious mind. So it's very important that we self-identify as God, not the human. In fact, I tell a lot of students that you should really take to heart the belief that there is no external God, that you are God, and God is within you. And that when you speak of God, you do not speak of God as an externalized force. You speak of God as yourself. Like, don't ask for external help. Don't ask for help from the external world or from external God. Look at yourself in the mirror and say, how do I recall the information I need to get myself out of the situation? You know what I mean? And that's how you start going down that rabbit hole, is understanding who you are and awakening your power by understanding you're God. Because when the minute that you self-identify as God, you awaken your power. You take a step in the right direction. Okay? Going back to the meta frame. If you are framing things from the perspective of understanding something as simple as this, I already told you I had an incident that happened today, and I asked myself, oh, wow, why did I manifest this? Then I understand that I'm in direct control of everything that happens in my life because I am God. The default hidden statement within that is I am God. Do you understand? So if something bad happens, I don't say, oh, why did that happen? Or, wow, this place is crazy, bad stuff happens. I go, no, why did I manifest that? You can loosely say, why did I create that? But I'd rather you not say that, but just say, why do I manifest that? And this is also being a responsible magi and an adult, because you're taking accountability for something. You're not always placing the blame on an externalized force. And this is why a lot of couples who are in relationships get into trouble, because they tend to blame their partner. And I said, it's not your partner. Your partner doesn't exist. Your partner is Maya. Your partner is an illusion. It's an avatar that you created to have a three-dimensional experience and to learn from that experience. Your partner does not exist. So you must, as a God, accept responsibility for manifesting the partner, and then ask yourself, why did I manifest my partner to do the things that she does? Because there's a lesson that you're trying to teach yourself. Your partner is only a reflection of your thoughts and beliefs, and your partner is trying to teach you something. So imagine your subconscious mind manifests into an externalized force to teach you something that you already know, but you're not consciously aware of. Is this making sense? Exactly. Exactly. You got it. You got it. Living in your authority. Ah. All right. I got a special gift for this guy. Hey, listen, or girl, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to use a wrong pronoun. Send me your address, and I'm going to send you a special magical gift for that answer. Here is my email address. Please send me your address, and I'm going to send you a gift. Okay. So this is also what we talk about as being self-actualized. You know what I mean? And it's very difficult for us to do this. It's not easy. You've been trained all your life to blame everything: the weather, the mechanic, the landlord. But you've never been trained to look in the mirror and say, why do I manifest this? I woke up one morning and I said, God, why did you put me in this crazy world? Because we live in a very evil world. And then myself said in a very audible voice, are you kidding me? You're not seriously asking that question. Kassan, come on now. You know you made this agreement to be here. You know you did. Don't even try it. And I was like, yeah, you got me. Yeah, you got me. You got me. You got me. You know? To change the way the world, the way you see the world, to change your meta frame, you have to change your belief system. Your belief system becomes a belief system when you hold in your mind ideas and you reinforce those ideas with a powerful emotion. And over the course of time, it cements and becomes that belief system. This is why the combination of Hedaru and Sebek is very powerful. Sebek is, let me bring that up. Sebek is belief. He stands for belief. Hedaru is emotion. Oh, wrong one. Okay. The combination of these two are powerful. All right. Sebek and Hedaru. Sebek is belief, Hedaru is emotion. A belief empowered with, I'm sorry, let me go back. Sebek is ideas. All right. Facts, logic, linear. Hedaru is emotion, visualization. An idea powered with an emotion becomes a belief. It becomes a Sebek. Sebek is beliefs. Okay. This is why you have to be very careful when you're thinking of something, that you don't continually think about it repetitively and empower it with an emotion, because it will become a belief. See, many people in the Christian faith don't understand that the reason that they have the belief is that they self-program themselves to have the belief. Now, a meta frame, in other words, how you view the world, will create your reality. But to get to that meta frame, you have to build it piece by piece by piece. You can't tackle it all in one chunk. It doesn't work that way. It's very, very difficult. You have to start bit by bit by bit. So in other words, let's look at it this way. If I'm processing information for the matrix, if information is coming to me and I'm filtering out only things that align with my belief system, and I don't like my belief system because my belief system is predicated upon me having low self-esteem, then I know that the information that I'm allowing in through the filter is a detriment to myself. So then I have to say, what am I allowing in? You're allowing in those things usually. On a very subtle level. It's not the things that are in your face that you allow in, it's the subtle things. And this is going back to subcommunication and submodalities. They subtly creep in. This is why in the Kemetic spiritual system, we have what we call as Wajet. And Wajet is the subliminal influences that creep into your subconscious mind and take root. And it's symbolized by a serpent because it sneaks in there and you have to be very careful. And what you have to do is you have to learn self-programming. Now, one of the things I want to do, and I'm going to leave you guys with this, is a self-programming technique. And I think it works really, really well. And when you're practicing this, what you want to do is you want to say the positive affirmations of your new belief system. Because when you start to program yourself with the positive affirmations or words of your new belief system, then you will start to see the world in a different perspective, and you'll start to pick up new information to create a new meta frame. The technique is thus, it's simple. It's so simple and it's very effective. So you should do this in the morning or in the evening before you go to bed. You take a candle, and let's use this one, for example. You'll take a candle, light the candle, and the candle should be white, right? You'll sit before the candle in a comfortable position like you're going to meditate, and you stare directly at the candle and you try not to blink. You can blink, but just try not to. Just try to stare at the flame. You're staring at the flame, and as you stare at the flame, mentally recite your affirmations. And that affirmation can be something as simple as, I think highly of myself. I see the world in a very positive way. I am wealthy. And you will stare at this. And I would like you to do this for at least 10 minutes. 10 minutes in the morning and 10 minutes in the evening for a total of 20 minutes. When you've got that down pat, you can progress to 15 to 20 minutes to 30 minutes and so on. You can even do it for an hour if you have the stamina. What you're going to find, if you're staring at the flame and you're reciting this, the mere fact that you're staring at the flame puts the left brain to sleep. It allows the new information, which is the affirmations you're reciting, to now go into the subconscious mind and stay there. That's the self-programming technique. Do you have it? Any questions? It's a very powerful technique that allows you to immediately reprogram yourself. So for those of you who are having problems with the meditation, the visualization, the emotion and all that, this technique will work wonders for you. Do you follow me? Now, there are certain language structures. Let me get into a little deeper. I'm going to leave you with this language structure. There are certain language structures that will put the left brain or the conscious mind into a state of paralysis, therefore opening the psyche to impression. And I used to use this all the time on certain people. So we talked about yesterday that in order to heal somebody or to put them into a certain state, you must first put yourself into that state. The law is state is transferable, okay? Whatever state a state of mind I am in, that energy resonates and it affects people here and there. It can affect the best. It can affect Kundalini. It can affect anybody. This is how we do healing. Put yourself in a healing state, reciting a healing mantra, and you can think of somebody and you can heal them that way through remote healing. Now, there are certain words. First, here's the technique. First thing is put yourself in the state that you want the other person to be in, right? Now, everybody has a psychic shield. That psychic shield prevents them from getting information, thoughts from you. So it's hard to. But to circumvent their psychic shield, you will give them a positive, negative statement. You give them a positive, negative statement, which puts the waking state that they're in into a paralysis. And that paralysis then opens the way to the subconscious mind to where now your energy can affect them. How does it work? Okay, let's take an example. Here's an example. I go up to a woman, right? And I say, I would really, okay, listen closely because this is important. I would really like you if you weren't so pretty. Now that statement it contradicts itself. It contradicts the conventional belief system we have in Western society. It makes no sense what I just said. So for a millisecond, her mind is trying to process that information, but I gave her a negative and a positive. It puts her into, now the computer brain is processing, and it gets into a paralysis, a state of paralysis, because it can't reconcile the two opposites. He says he likes me, but I'm too pretty. That makes no sense. What does that do? That then drops her psychic shield, opens her psyche. Now I could drop in a subliminal message, or my state can now make an impression upon her. This is how you influence people. This is how you control people. I see. I'm giving you some really like advanced level stuff there, but I'm not going to take it any further. I don't want you guys using this for the wrong reasons. Okay. In fact, I don't teach this higher stuff publicly on YouTube like this. Usually I would save it for Patreon, not even Patreon. I save it for one-on-one consultations with people where I show them how to do these type of things. Because if I show people, the wrong people, they'll start to use it for manipulation. A while ago, individuals found out that I was very, very good at wooing women. They were like, wow, you're really good at doing this. And they found that I was really good at doing presentations and winning contracts and getting investors. And they were like, well, can you teach me? And at that time, I couldn't teach them because I was doing it intuitively. And when I studied NLP and hypnosis, then those teachers broke down what I was doing. I was like, wow, am I doing all that? They go, yeah, you have a natural ability. I'm like, oh, okay. So when people started asking me to teach them, I said no, because I was fearful that they would start doing it in a wrong way and using it to manipulate people, which you totally can, which is why I'm not going to go any further. I've shown you enough. That's a big secret on manipulation. My beloved, do not do that. Do not use what I just showed you to manipulate anybody. Please. We are Kemetians. We are spiritual people. We live by Ma'at. Ma'at is my mother, and I love her. All praises due to Ma'at. Okay? Please use my teachings for love, light, and to help one another, even help your enemies if they have a genuine need. If they have a genuine need. So if you get an opportunity, please donate to the channel. My 28 kids would really appreciate it. I got grocery shopping is very tough for all those kids. All right. So I want to thank all of you Magi's for coming in the chat room. I want to thank you for joining my program tonight. I hope this message resonates with you. This is Kasank Ma'at Keperu, son of Ma'at Tuti. Ma'at is a beautiful goddess, Hathor, Heteru. Till my next broadcast, Amin Ra.